You're listening to KWOU. Coming up next, the amazing, unbelievable adventures of Dr. Theophilius Crux, Ph.D., and his faithful companion Archibald the Tasmanian emu. Quite honestly, I don't know where I am right now, or who I'm speaking to, if I'm speaking to anybody at all. I suppose I'll find my way eventually, but until then. Sometimes I tell myself that I'm Jasper Beck, and that this is the amazing, unbelievable adventures of Dr. Theophilius Crux, Ph.D., and his faithful companion Archibald the Tasmanian emu. Previously, in this unbelievable tale, some things happened. I might be able to deceive you into believing that they were meaningful, but I am no liar. I am a harp, being masterfully plucked by the hands of some unknown virtuoso, ringing out into a concert hall of darkness. I know not the song which I sing. In any case, that doesn't stop me from singing. Singing of a mildly sad man returning anew from the void. Singing of an angry mob, blind to the reality of their own futility as they enact a grand scheme of emotional venting upon three semi-innocent bystanders. Singing of an eerie standoff between two souls forcibly intertwined by the regime of narrative, finding each other utterly contemptible through their familiarity. They stand here now locked in mental combat, the streets of Peripolis suddenly dusty to fit the mood, a growing crowd heaving like waves upon the rocky shore, waiting for them both to die. Matt Brown threw himself into the fray, completely unhinged from the get-go, relishing in the absolute freedom of sheer violence, savoring the sense of security that comes with knowing that you are a serial killer vampire, and being the best at what you do. His attacks were of the vitriolic kind, bitter and sinister as a snake. His blades were edged with nihilism, his fists bleeding treachery. He was not to be stopped, only held at bay for a little while longer. What could Luce do against such madness? What could Luce do against such madness? He was patently unaccustomed to doing much of anything. His whole modus operandi up until this point had largely been to simply go with the flow, even if it was over a waterfall, nay, especially if it was over a waterfall. For there is a kind of security in knowing that gravity will always be there for you, wrapping you in its invisible embrace, but no more. Luce rejected gravity with a cold shoulder and 11.5 stern words, and with a flick of his coattails he soared into the sky because he can do that now. The crowd oh-ayed as he did so, because this was the most exciting thing that had happened in Peripolis since the two-player pinball tournament from the night before. Meaning, a lot of exciting things happened in Peripolis, but that doesn't stop crowds from gathering all the same. Matt Brown, being a vampire, soared after him, and the duel had now officially graduated into high school. 3 crowd members immediately dropped dead from the pun. Though they had lived short and unfulfilled lives, the battle raged on regardless of their tragic passing. You are welcome to attend the funeral if you wish, though I doubt you could be bothered to interrupt your most assuredly busy schedule to honor the death of a quote-unquote fictional character. I'm sure you have many important things to do. That's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'll just describe the fight now. Let's be clear. They hated each other. This was no customary face-off, no honorable duel between respectable equals. You know from observing their past inactions that they are anything but respectable. And you know from Matt Brown as he steals the microphone from the narrator yet again that we are anything but equals. If Luce the mildly annoying man is a phone booth, I am the skyscraper across the street. Or better yet, I am the man passionately making love to a semi-random passerby inside the phone booth as a troubled youth awkwardly waits outside so he can phone his family and tell them begrudgingly that he's changed his mind about making it on his own in the big city and that he's coming home this weekend after he figures out a way to pay off his debt to a large sweaty card shark named Cuthbert. Yeah, I'm that guy. Luce doesn't stand a chance. The weapons I currently have at my disposal include a switchblade, bowie knife, a machete, a rusty fork, half of an AK-47, and my licensed Hello Kitty katana. At the moment, though, they are conveniently stored in my ambiguously large coat pockets, even though I'm not wearing a coat. If you've noticed, I've combed through these accounts of my life and deftly edited out any physical descriptions of me. It's not good for my image, or rather, my lack of image, as it is well known that the truer a vampire, the less of an image they have. You think not having a reflection is all there is? No! The more you step into your undeath, the more the living eye will reject you. Light will claim it's just passing through, or avoid you entirely. Some say the elder vampires have mastered self-negation to such a degree that they have disappeared entirely from the mortal realm, which I suppose makes their undeath quite indistinguishable from just regular government-issued death, which I suppose is the point. In any case, that is the reason why I have coat pockets without having a coat. As mentioned a moment ago, I have a plethora of pain at my disposal to inflict upon this maggot, but my preferred weapon is my mouth. I don't mean that I would flout the man with my scalding witticisms, but rather that I would simply dig my fangs deep into, his jugular vein. No sense in reinventing the wheel. The fact that he has so far managed to evade my attempts to do so is of little to no significance. To be fair, it's hard to initiate a primarily oral assault while talking into a microphone. But I would like to improve myself in this area, and thus I gladly accept the handicap. I must say, I have seen Luce fight in the past, and his demeanor seems entirely changed now as he spirals and spins the night away with me here in the Parapolypian sky. Before, his movements were lackadaisical and limp, as if one were engaged in fisticuffs with one of those flailing inflatable tube men you see spasming outside used car dealerships. It was depressing to behold. He was less fighting back and more consigning himself to the fight as fate, going with the flow of the violence until he stood or fell. There was no passion, no verve, nothing of the sort that I now see emanating from him like a softly glowing coal. Where has this come from? He throws a punch now like he's his team's star pitcher, and it's all tied up at the bottom of the ninth. He dodges like he cares personally for the blow you have offered him, but must refuse it in deference to some higher obligation, offering a well-placed counter-strike to the teeth or ribs to show that he still cares. That's it! He cares! When, on this rapidly declining earth did Luce, the melancholy son of apathy and ennui, start caring? I can see it in his eyes. He is a changed man, filled with an absolute and positive desire to destroy me as the antagonist. I shall not let him. If you are to destroy me, Luce, destroy me not as the antagonist, but as I am, Matt Brown unto himself. I never did want to go along with the story. I only ever wanted for you and I to have some fun. Can't we have some fun together, Luce? Like old times? Speak to me, damn it! Why don't you respond? I'm your enemy. Don't you have some righteous one-liner to counter my villainous monologue? Kill me, damn it! I have been crying out for my own annihilation since the day I died, and if you won't deliver that to me, I will gladly tear this world apart from the inside out for 117 days until I can hopefully let it all go. I'm tired, Luce. Oh, Matt Brown, you're not my enemy. Luce reached into his jacket and pulled out his secret weapon. Nothing. When you return from the void, you always carry a little bit of it with you, like grains of sand in the bottom of old pants pockets. Luce held the nothing in his fist and then opened his hand, pressing his palm firmly against Matt Brown's chest. This is what you're asking for. Really? This is all it is? It's not much, right? I thought it would feel more cold and empty. Feeling cold and empty is part of life's repertoire. Nothing doesn't feel like anything. Huh. Well, screw this then. I want to live. That's exactly what I thought. All right. And they hung there for a while in the sky. What do you think they're doing up there? Muttered a crowd member. Maybe they're having a heart-to-heart moment, said another. The crowd schmurgled in disapproval. Surely not. Vampires are heartless killers, intent on death and oppression alone. They have no heart with which to have such a moment. That's not true, spat Augustine, defending the man she reviled. Vampires do have hearts. They're just dry and still, like a dusty desert well long unsojourned to. All you need to do is a little digging and... Rain began to fall. Heavy droplets that splashed with joy on unsuspecting mob attendees gaping stupidly into the sky above. An ocean of commotion followed, with people jostling with their coats and bumbershoot's or hustling to the nearest source of shelter from these droplets that were all unconsciously assumed to be avoided. Like oil, the crowd dispersed into a scattering of little circles, clinging desperately to each other against the woeful wet. Except for one. Well, except for 4, 5 if you count the turtle who doesn't matter, and 6 if you include the desert tortoise, in which he has found a friend, but I assumed that you assumed their presence. How frequently do I, as the author, have to keep telling you things? Are we not on the same page? Are our creative rhythms out of sync? Could you not feel the upward gaze of the trio of women? 2 undead, 1 still learning to live, plus a few auxiliary Shalonians? That's turtles in the Mystoscientical tongue. Oh well. I don't suppose there's much I can do about it, if you aren't willing to pull your own weight around here. Let me describe to you the one who stands in the rain. They haven't been happy in quite some time. This is immediately to be distinguished from Luce's mild sadness and Mrs. Nothatter's general misery, for rather it harkens back to a golden period of wheat fields and golden retrievers, and wheat fields and gold bars, and wheat fields and golden sunsets and wheat fields. There was a lot of wheat fields back in the day, but no more, and thus they haven't been happy for quite some time. Their figure shimmers in the rain, outlined in splish, not so much radiating light as reflecting it, like a full moon on a hot summer night. What could be described as hair is straight, running down their back like a waterfall until it crashes thunderously upon the puddled pavement below. I suppose I'm beating around the bush to say that they're beautiful, but I've always had trouble with that word, at least when uttered by me, for through my teeth the word sounds disingenuous and arbitrary, like I may as well call an apple tree on a rolling hill of green, or the twinkling stars above a bustling neon city beautiful. And indeed I might as well, and I have. So why do I doubt? I suppose I doubt because deep within me I desire beauty to be something absolute, something external from me, something transcendent from these mind games that I play with myself, and that it's less that this person is a confirmation of that desire, but more that this person is a creation of that desire. They make me want to believe that they are beautiful in the same way that a spade is a spade, or perhaps even in a better way, to the point where such tautologies are simply out of the mind. How painful, then, that this beautiful person has not been happy in quite some time. As the 3 + 2 look on at this onlooker, they feel their very souls acquiesce to the fullness before them. Did you know the word sad comes from an ancient root meaning to be full? That it is ultimately less about feeling down and more about feeling down, up, sideways, inside out, and counterclockwise. Feeling the degree to which life is simply stuffed, like a 3-layer deep dish pizza of emotions we were not meant to handle individually. And so we just bundled it all up into a single word and call ourselves sad. And to think that this fullness incarnate, standing here in the rain, would be looking at awe at two rather abrasive jerks having a frank sky conversation seemed entirely backward. If anything, it was the skyward ones, Luce and Matt Brown, who should be gazing in awe at the eminence below them. And I say should, not to imply any kind of teleological framework, but just to convey the gravitas of this golden child gone starry-eyed. They made you want to say should. They made you want to believe this unbelievable tale. They could feel the rain on their skin. They could feel the joy. They could feel the eyes of the dispersed crowd flickering confusedly like, what are they doing out in the rain? Who do they think they are to defy the weather? Don't they know the show is over? This spot in the atmosphere has nothing left for us. Their clamor was silent, though, because they could not open their lips against the weight of what this rain-stayer was about to say, for all could sense that they were about to say something. And they waited. And when they opened their mouth to speak, the winds were sucked to nothingness. The world trembled to a halt. And there was naught but the fall of rain as they spoke the following words. You're listening to KWOU. How can I speak against you? You are a bright, unbearable reality bursting forth, bearing billions out of me. Your love. The one you touch so frequently, as Ray Bradbury declared casually. I know you're mad at me, but that's how I know I'm madder, see? I can't do this alone. You of all people know my locus of control is a rolling stone down my cliffs of insanity, and I scream in my vanity to be hoisted to the top like an oyster in the pot. My desperate desire for escape is a little out of touch. It's just a little bit much. But you're way more than me. You remind me that there's more to see, that this pot is a cauldron and I've been called into this special brew, this something new. Atop the cliffs of insanity there's quite the view. Of course, I'm prone to grandiosity. I oscillate between making things a big deal and selling them wholesale. I'm selling my soul so he'll find a better home as well, but it may be that it's so much simpler. I dove off the deep end when you called for a sprinkler. Many noses crinkle at the aroma of my thinking, but you caught a whiff and sunk your teeth in. It's not just wishful thinking, it's love? What is that? I honestly haven't a clue. I'd say it's a mystery, but in this story I don't even know what to do. There's no trail to follow. It's not even known there's a crime. Every apple is hollow. Every dollar is time. So maybe it's less of a mystery and more of a tragedy. We've made a mess of our history, let alone now this agony. Maybe the point is that I die in the end, but at least make it bittersweet that even still you'd be my friend. Or maybe it's a comedy. Like in a few years, a comet hits the earth and all our calls for community crumble as weird Uncle Space wipes the tears from the face of Mother Earth, and that we're ants that know our worth, that is, nothing. Gotta be honest, I laugh at the thought of it. If the world's that absurd, who'd want to be the god of it? For those of you who think you got it, I think you'll find your log is rotted. I'm Zacchaeus at an audit. I'm selling lies, and I think you bought it, but despite it all, we spite it all, and those who see no light at all are creatures of the nightly fall. They haven't seen the sun. How can I call you the one? Despite my efforts to justify my fixation here in the void, it boils down to fear. I'm annoyed that your presence would obligate something of me. We all placate our full plates by play-acting our hunger, but underneath our lips our plaque-ridden teeth slumber. They've forgotten the taste of food, but rotting away is rude, so we root for us, the home team, and resent those who intrude upon our oh-so-pitch-perfect symphony, virtuosos in infancy, infinitely spiraling down into cold distance, see? How can I speak against you? You are everything I told myself I couldn't be, my fear, my loathing. I feel my clothing crawl away. You expose me, stripping it all away. Give me some closure. Let it all fall away. I'm in desperate need of a holiday. It has been a week since the one who stands in the rain had spoken. Most everyone had moved on with their lives. Some had their lives moved on for them. But most pertaining to our story, the 6 plus 2 of them were now sitting together in a cafe quite far from Peripolis in the southernly town of Akacha, where the dust is dry and the eyes are drier. They sit encircled by quaint depictions of middle-class luxury, bathing leisurely in their monochromatic glory, like an artist's color wheel taking a lunch break. They were tired, all of them. The travel here was arduous, adventurous, and altogether arbitrary, something they had not yet reconciled within themselves. A roundtable interview of the bunch reveals much of their current mood. The question on the table: how did we get here? Do you remember anything? Is there any escape from this? Luce: quite honestly, I think that's the wrong question. Mrs. Nothatter: you can't just go right ahead and contradict his first question, Luce. That's rude. Augustine: who cares if it's rude? It's right. Fuchsia: what is? Augustine: Luce, it's the wrong question to ask. Fuchsia: well, okay then, what is the right question to ask? Matt Brown: would anybody like to go in on some sliders? Luce: that's the right question. Matt Brown: what? Oh, no, I wasn't listening. I was just sick and tired of all of you pretending like any of this has any significance whatsoever, and it really made me hungry. I was thinking of the bacon-avocado combo, the one who stands in the rain. Sorry, I don't eat. Matt Brown: I won't hold it against you. Luce, Miss Crewcut, what'll it be? Or are you the type to sit in that cafe and listlessly let your overgrown brains wander, denying your God-given duty to participate as a consumer within the economy? Luce: Matt Brown, I'm honestly a little annoyed at your seemingly natural ability to completely hijack a conversation with your nihilistic bullcrap. I wasn't talking about sliders. Why would I be talking about sliders during a roundtable interview? Matt Brown: because you were sponsored by the restaurant? Augustine: I thought you were above such corporate shilling, Matt. Don't you remember how we brutally massacred the board members last week? Matt Brown: first of all, pantsuit, my name is Matt Brown. Just Matt Brown. Nothing more and certainly nothing less. I owe you nothing. Secondly, no, I am above nothing. I'm a vampire. You should know that. Thirdly, I have no memory whatsoever of the past week, to indirectly answer the interviewer's question. And fourthly, what if we got jalapeno poppers as well? Fuchsia: I could go for some jalapeno poppers. Mrs. Nothatter: why are you siding with him? Fuchsia: I'm not. I'm just hungry. Luce: fine. Order your damn sliders and poppers and whatever else. I was trying to be poetic. Matt Brown: see, that's your problem, Luce. You try. To really make it in life, you have to be effortless, like an economy car being towed by 16 malnourished crocodiles. Mrs. Nothatter: why does he get away with saying nonsensical things like that? Fuchsia: well, it's been firmly established that he's kind of the id of the group. He just gets to shoot off at the mouth or the hip or wherever he'd like to shoot from. Kinda unfair of the author, especially seeing as how the male characters seem to hog most of the dialogue space, and we're limited to being exasperated at their annoying self-actualization. Interviewer: I can assure you that Jasper has the best of intentions for each of your characters, and would never slide into something so banal as casual sexism, especially when so easily dismantled by a mere drop of feminist analysis. Augustine: to be perfectly honest with you, Mr. Interviewer, I don't care. Go away. We all don't remember the past week. It's called a jump cut. Stop trying to force continuity on a story that was explicitly stated to be vibe-centric. Luce: yeah, that's where I was headed with when I said it was the wrong question to ask, but we got a little off topic. But yeah, can you leave? Mrs. Nothatter: yes, can you? Fuchsia: please. Matt Brown: buzz off, Mr. Unreliable. Turtle, who doesn't matter: yeah, go away. Everyone: you don't matter. Desert Tortoise: he matters to me. A pregnant pause. Matt Brown: so, sliders? The troupe happily agreed, and feasted merrily long into the night, blissfully unaware that the one who stands in the rain had disappeared from their company, as they had more important matters to attend to, that are outside of the scope of this tale, for, as you know, the frivolousness and abject artifice of this story lends itself to describe only that which is disjointed and uncanny, realms which the one who stands in the rain has not frequented in some time. And as the sun comes up over Akacha, and as storefronts open their storm drains and dodecahedrons roll through the street underfoot of a conspicuous emu and his grizzled rider, looking out to the dawn, a distant rumble can be felt in the ground. And if one were to look up from their glotato plowing towards the north, they would see an indescribable mushroom cloud rising over Peripolis, glittering like confetti. Then the shock wave would hit, and one would immediately regret having not looked up from their glotatos, as if immediate agriculture were more momentous than the sudden and inexplicable destruction of what was widely agreed upon to be the most glorious city on the earth. The shock wave would shock everyone, for a moment. But don't worry, because they would all soon fall back into the patterns of their daily lives, comforted by the fact that the explosion was completely unpredictable, so there was literally nothing they could do to prepare in the event that their town was next. Why worry? Why hurry? When the explosion would simply take you in its own time. In 110 days now, the world will end. Is there any escape from this? And is that the right question? Tune in next week for the next episode. While on walks in the cold morning air, I'm often struck by the sudden epiphany that I'm Jasper Beck, and that this is the amazing, unbelievable adventures of Dr. Theophilius Crux, Ph.D., and his faithful companion Archibald the Tasmanian emu. You're listening to KWOU.